Downtown Rotary Club is 80 to 120 members depending. They meet every Thursday for lunch. Past president of the club, past board member there. My job in downtown Suffolk ended back in April, and I served to the end of my term there. And my significant other and I have just relocated to Kitty Hawk. Oh. And I started a new job on Monday, working with the Great Atlantic Hot Tub and Swim Spas.
Great.
And first thing I did was look for a Rotary Club for lunch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You found it. Welcome, man. Appreciate it. You're welcome to the time. You know that. Let's see. Jay, you want to do a foundation minute for us?
I do, and today we have something. So 5 score, and I don't know, a few years ago, the 4 guys in Chicago didn't have enough friends, so they all got together, make a club, find friends, and they were successful. And after a while, they said, you know, we have got to do something besides just hang out at the coffee shop or rotating wherever they rotated to go to. So one of the things that they did was set the Rotary Foundation a few years later. And then they started recognizing Paul Harris Fellows, people who had donated substantially to Rotary Foundation. And so a Paul Harris Fellow is someone who's donated at least $1,000. This Paul Harris Fellowship goes to John Pope. It is a +5, which I believe means you're 6,000 plus for donating to Rotary. So please join with me to congratulate John. Thank you for your good work.
Get up there. We got a picture. Jay.
Nothing.
George wants a picture.
No, your wife wants a picture.
I told her to take the picture.
Her camera doesn't
We should
work.
probably.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes.
One thing that's great about the Rotary Foundation is, you know, it's something that's been around for such a long time, but it's the foundation that keeps on giving. I mean, I'm trying to think of the name of the charity. What is it called, Stan?
Polio Plus.
No, the charity where they rate charities.
Charity Navigator.
Charity Navigator. I mean, you have to remember. I mean, it's so difficult to have an organization meet the Charity Navigator and get such a high rating. But personally, me, I know that my giving, a huge portion of it, I believe it's 98% of it, if not more, goes directly to someone else in the world that I may never meet, somewhere locally in the United States that may be experiencing some sort of disaster. But again, the foundation, it is the staple of Rotary in regards to its giving arm of the organization, its charitable arm of the organization. And if you're not a member of the Paul Harris Society or the Paul Harris Fellowship, it's something that you give through dues in the club, whether it's $25 a quarter. That donation leads directly to a Paul Harris Fellowship. So I also want to remind everybody of Rotary Direct, and that is the platform which allows you to give a certain amount of dollars every month. It's withdrawn automatically. I choose to give monthly. Barbara chooses monthly, and I know a lot of other members of the club do the same. So again, if you're not familiar with Rotary Direct, you can ask Jay, our foundation chairman. He'd be happy to explain it to you. Or if you have questions about the Paul Harris Society or the Paul Harris Fellowship, certainly Jay be the person to ask. John Picorni, I believe he's online today. Yes, John, good to see you again. Hopefully you're back in person here soon. Always nice to see our folks on Zoom. Moving on to some more business. Lincoln Oyster, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We finally got some numbers in. These are still somewhat fluctuating, but the Lincoln Oyster roast pulled in $7,901, which is a really great success over the past several years that we've been doing it. Member participation was outstanding, with 20 members, 20 Rotarians and their spouses participating, plus the 30 high school band students. As we mentioned in the lead up to Lincoln Oyster, the thing that makes this thing successful, the thing that gives us the amount of dollars that we're able to use throughout the year towards local grants, projects, and community service, is all about the the sponsorships. I mean, we have $5,300 in sponsorships. It could have been much, much more. It's just a matter of member participation, going out and getting those sponsorships. So the opportunity exists for us to have a much larger service project if the club works together to go after sponsorships. I know it's not easy, but usually all it takes is an ask. So our next big fundraising event, more sponsorships. That's $1 fine for Barbara Polk.
Yeah. I think you set your phone on
So, anyhow, great job on the Oink and Oyster this year, guys. We had a board of directors meeting where we discussed the future of Oink and Oyster. That is up in the air. We're going to have some more discussions on that. The thing with Oink and Oyster is it's extremely expensive to put on, between the venue, the tent particularly, the cost of oysters, the cost of pork, and the amount of work that goes into just pulling off a 4-hour event with that much going on. So we've got some conversations that are going to continue to happen, and we'll certainly keep you abreast as to what's going to happen with Oink and Oyster. Let's see, a Dare to Care screening. We have a screening tomorrow night. Dave Vanaski, he's going to be participating tomorrow evening. Thank you. And Stan's going to be there. Diane, are you going tomorrow night?
Not
No?
tomorrow night.
Okay.
Next
That's going to be held at COA, the College of the Albemarle in Manio. When, just so you know, the cardiovascular screening, Dare to Care, that's a free screening of the carotid artery, the aortic artery, and the ankle. It's done for free to anybody who signs up and is eligible to receive those screenings based on age or family history. Fantastic service project in the community. It's about a year old. Stan, how many people have we screened so far?
Around 300.
300?
Yeah.
And that is a joint Rotary project between First Flight, Manteo, and Kitty Hawk. Is Kitty Hawk involved? Not kind of, but anyhow, it's a joint Rotary project. It's been fantastic, and they're looking to expand. Ruthie's Kitchen, that is going to be happening on November 7th. Diane's kind of leading that up, and thank you for that, Diane. We're going to be serving 75 folks within the community with a free meal. It's going to be some of our leftover pork from Oink and Oyster, baked beans, a roll. Maybe Jay can get his daughter to do cookies. She had a blast doing that last year, so that's a possibility. And we have enough pork left over in storage, freezer storage, to do another event in December. So we're probably going to have one in the first couple weeks in December at Ruthie's Kitchen as well. If you're interested in participating with that, speak with me or Diane, and we'll get you signed up on the schedule for that. Was it last Thursday? Eli's not here. Last Thursday, Eli delivered 80 pounds of pork butts to Room in the Inn, the local homeless shelter. And you remember Sherry Five-Ash was here several weeks ago speaking about Room at the Inn. She was elated to receive that. That's something that's going to set them up for several weeks in the first month of November when they open up their homeless shelter. She also asked us to participate in serving on the serving line, which I think would be a great opportunity for us to get out there and be seen at Room in the Inn and actually sit down and break bread with some of the people that we're helping in our community. So as those dates become available, I'll certainly let you know. The Wall That Heals is the traveling Vietnam War Memorial that will be in town on November 16th through 19th. First Flight Rotary is scheduled and signed up for 2 slots for breakdown. That's going to happen on November 19th from 12 to 6. There are going to be 46 other volunteers there assisting with the breakdown. Just something for us to be able to get out in the community, participate in that great tribute to Vietnam veterans, and let Rotary be seen out there with the wall. So if you're interested in that, speak with me. Be happy to put you on the list. And we have the Baptist Dental Mission coming up
December.
Something.
6 and 7 or 7 and 8.
So again, I don't know how First Flight will be involved. We'll be involved in some way. What's that?
I don't know.
It's
It's
like,
Friday,
yeah.
Saturday.
So that's the free dental clinic that's being held
Right.
on Ocracoke Island.
Right.
Did you have any more information on that, Sam, or you did?
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of participation manpower wise. The dentists that man that come out of Morehead City, which is the district south of us. And locals provide all the local manpower. We're trying to find a way in that we can advertise Rotary in general, because our club is supporting it, North Banks Rotary Club is supporting it, Oriental Rotary Club is supporting it. After tomorrow morning, New Bern Breakfast Rotary Club will be supporting it.
Still know that young.
Well, some of them know it, but after I'm done with them tomorrow, they'll know it. And the district is picking up half of it. This is really a relatively inexpensive mission. It costs about $1,500 per visit. So the truck from the Baptist missions comes out of Cary. It is a self-enclosed 2-unit dental facility. And it's amazing what they get done in 2 days of work. The locals do a great deal to put them up. A local hotel provides room and board for them because it's their off season, so they get the rooms free. Locals provide meals. It's a good story. Rotary's been doing this since the hurricane in 2020.
Is that Dorian?
Yeah. So we just got involved because our district stopped funding it last year because they didn't know what was going on. Our COVID pass down of information was not good. So I got together because I got the phone call for some reason. And I made it so that local clubs provide half the funding and the district provides half the funding. So right now, with what has been donated, we're covered through all of next year and working on 2025 for the funding for this, and looking for other opportunities for this dental truck to do other areas in Northeast North Carolina.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a
Nice to
great
see so many,
service.
but nice to see so many clubs supporting this
Yeah,
this endeavor. So,
yeah. And they don't know it, but they will be on a committee not headed by me.
Thanks for that update, Stan. Let's see, 50/50 tickets. I hope you bought them. Pots at $699. We have 38 tickets left. If you need a ticket,
75 today.
that's great.
Yeah.
So if you need tickets or want to buy extras, you certainly can buy extras. The Stan probably bought extras, didn't you? Happy Dollars. Jay, you want to run some Happy Dollars real quick?
Who's that?
Oh,
Somebody. Everybody happy over here? Nice day, sad table. All right. Wow. How about over here, Stan? You gotta keep us happy.
Nice. I'm always happy.
What you happy for?
I am happy that Oink and Oyster went off. We made some money. We could always do better. I'm happy to see the two guests. One of them is not quite a guest, but we'll rein him in if we don't scare him off today. But I just really thankful for everything, and also that I get to leave town today because my wife is well enough. She's on, today is 7 days that she got her knee replaced, and she let me leave, so I'm out of here.
You coming back in 3 months?
No. I didn't
Go
give
ahead,
her a date.
Diane.
Thanks for coming today. My original club was Churchland
Okay.
Rotary Club, so thank you for coming. It's important Suffolk.
Yeah.
You
All
might-
right.
you might still-
John, I know you're happy.
What?
You might
You're on the
still pay
backside
her.
of O&O.
Happy on the backside of O&O. Glad we made a few bucks. We've actually made better than a few bucks, which is nice. Lynn, welcome. And David, looking forward to having you as a First Flight Rotary member. Thank you, sir.
All right. I will keep the happy going. And I am happy that, well, I'm gonna put a sad dollar first. It is the first Oink and Oyster, I think, since I've been a member of this club that I missed.
We missed you, Jay.
It was unavoidable. I had 2 kids in 2 different cities in Virginia on a soccer tournament. They played between them 9 games over that weekend. So
They're not old enough to drive yet?
sadly, Emma will be old enough to get a permit in 2 years.
Oh.
And then, but the happy dollar is, even though this season has had a lot of rain, both of mine played in the rain a little bit, and we've had several games canceled. The one game that I'm really interested in is when we play the Outer Banks team, because Jonathan's playing that team in Virginia. And the rain as of today was 20% instead of the 70% it was a day or two ago.
Awesome.
Cool.
Good luck.
Thanks, Jay. All right, let's get to today's speaker. We're really pleased to have William Nash, who's a utility director with the Dare County Water Department. He's going to be joining us today to speak about all the unique things and fun things, particularly the reverse osmosis, which I think a lot of us are interested in learning with the Dare County Water Department. So, if you'd welcome William Nash. Appreciate you coming in, William. Thank you.
Thank y'all for having me. So I am not a public speaker, so there's plenty of ums and pauses and everything else. Just excuse that, please. I just want to take this, when I was invited, I figured I'd take the opportunity to kind of give a little bit of an overview of the Dare County system, how it works. A lot of things that people don't know, and I figured I'd touch base a little bit on upcoming projects and projects that we actually currently have going on. So to jump right in, Dare County has 46 wells. They range anywhere from 75 feet to 425 feet deep. They are located in the Yorktown and the Castle Hayne Aquifer. That's where we get our water supply from. And those wells feed 5 facilities. If you look at what we produced last year from those 5 facilities, in 2022, we actually produced over 2.5 billion gallons of drinking water in 2022. You know, with the tourist season and everything, we're going to see a spike. So June, July is typical high season. We saw 337 million in June and July alone. So, you know, a lot goes on in those 5 little facilities. So we use 3 types of treatment. We use reverse osmosis, and ion exchange, and nanofiltration. Nanofiltration is pretty much the same thing as reverse osmosis. It's just a little bit fancier term for it. But we can use nano when the wells are not as salty. So our fresher wells, we can use a very similar treatment, but a little bit different. So reverse osmosis is our primary source of treatment. And we use that in 4 out of the 5 plants. The 5th plant actually uses the nanofiltration, which I talked about. So it's pretty much reverse osmosis. So does anybody know what osmosis is, roughly? So osmosis is a naturally occurring thing in plant and animal cells. It allows water to equalize within the cell or within a body. It allows particles and water molecules to pass one way, but it will not allow it to pass back the other way. So the cell kind of acts like a check valve for particles and debris. With that being said, it can never, even the water molecules cannot flow backwards through this check valve because of the flow of the natural flow of things. It's going from a greater pressure to a lesser pressure. So it's always going to flow in one direction. Well, reverse osmosis is just that in reverse. So if you apply a high enough pressure on the backside using pumps or mechanical means, you can actually reverse that flow. Now, as I said, it kind of acts like a check valve, but when you reverse it, the membrane still prevents the particles, the solids, any sediment or organics from coming back, but you can actually force the molecules, the water molecules, back through the system. So that's where the reverse osmosis comes from. It removes about 98% of what you would find in raw water. Now, when I say raw water, it's just groundwater stuff you find in the wells. It's not sewage or anything like that. It's just naturally occurring water that you come from a body of water or a drinking well. So manufacturers use this science to create the reverse osmosis filtration process. And so what I actually have here, this is a cutout of a membrane. And we were talking about the cells earlier. I mentioned the cells. All this is one membrane that starts here and it's just spiraled around. It's a spiraled around membrane. So there's multiple layers through here that the raw water passes through with the mechanical means of water pressure. So we're taking 350, 400 gallons a minute and we're forcing it through this. And what that does is any clean water or water that meets the standards of the membrane that can't pass through the membrane, it actually finds its way to this tube. We call that our permeate or finished water. That's water that's good to drink, ready to go. Any additional water that does not meet the first stage standards, it would find its way, it would just keep channeling out and it would actually pop out this side of the membrane. Once it's out this side of the membrane, it goes to a second stage. And at that second stage, we apply even more water, more pressure to the second stage. It's the same as the first, but we're putting so much pressure on it. We're squeezing that last little bit of water we can out for maximum recovery. You know, everybody gets down to that end of the tube of the toothpaste and they're on the corner and they're trying to squeeze everything out. That's what we're doing. We're trying to recover as much as possible. So typically we end up, our reject water is typically about 15 to 25%. And the reject water is just concentrated minerals, iron, manganese, things again you would find in a natural environment. And that's what we discharge. Well, I just kind of jumped ahead, but prior to going into the membrane, and the raw water will actually filter through a cartridge filter. These separate out the sand, the silt, the grit, the larger particles that you don't want to get in these fine membranes. Because once they're in the membranes, they can foul. You get a little bit of air mixed in with the iron, it starts to oxidize. It'll clog these membranes pretty quickly. So we try to remove any of the larger particles with these 10 micron filters prior to going into the reverse osmosis treatment into the membrane themselves.
How much pressure you got on when you're doing them?
How much pressure?
Yeah.
The first stage, you're looking anywhere between 340 PSI to 400. Second stage, you can see upwards of 600 PSI. So when it's pushing, it's pushing. It's the pumps probably stand about that tall, about that big around, just to be able to push the water through these membranes. Each train has about 120 of these membranes in it, and we've got 5 trains. That's just at the plant here in Kildouble Hills. So I'm going to pass these around if y'all want to look at them. It's this is pretty much a cutout of what that is, and you'll see multiple layers. You'll see the different layers, and you'll see how there's a cross section there. That's what allows your particles, your concentrate, your reject water, they'll flow across that cross section. And not that it can't see it, but there is a layer in there that is super fine, and that's what we're pushing the water through. That's what we're trying to push everything through, so it's as tight as you can push it without creating extremely high pressure. And so
Where's the reject water go?
the reject water goes to the outfall that's located along Oregon Street. We get a lot of calls about that. People think it's storm water or sewer water, but it's just concentrated water from the outfall. The biggest thing it has is salinity, because the waters that we're pulling from our wells are extremely salty. With this process, you could literally throw a hose in the ocean, pull out the salt, pull out the minerals, and you could create fresh water off of it. Your pressures would be through the roof, because of the saltier you are, the more pressure you have, but it can be done. So that's kind of a big thing during the summer.
Yeah.
We get a lot of people fuss about that. So we're actually working with DOT currently to see if we can do something different with that outfall pipe, so we can just do away with that Oregon Street outfall. But it's a pain.
Yeah.
So anyway, jumping back into this, the finished water, once it comes out of the membrane here, that's just going to go through a couple different other polishing stages. We'll add some hyperchlorite, a few other things to polish the water up, and that'll go to our ground storage tanks. Our ground storage tanks will then pump to our water towers. we've got 11 water towers in Dare County that run from Duck to Hatteras. And within that, they range 130 to 150 feet in elevation. And your elevation is where your pressure comes from at your home. The higher you go up, the more pressure you're gonna have. 130-foot water tower, probably 56 PSI, 150-foot water tower, you're looking more around 64 PSI. Now, customers do not see that. The reason customers don't see that is that's every 2.31 feet you go up in elevation, you gain 1 PSI of pressure. So when I'm talking about a 130-foot water tower, ground level, you're gonna see 56 PSI. But you have to remember, nobody lives at ground level. As you build your house, you're going up in elevation, so you're actually taking away from that pressure. A standard beach box on 8-foot pylons is gonna lose 3.5 PSI right off the gate before you even cross the threshold of the home. And if you go to your shower head on your first floor, you know, you're going up another 6 feet, so you're losing another 2.5 PSI. So that's where we we were speaking about complaints earlier. We get that a lot during the summer because you'll have some of these really big houses with 3 stories up on pylons in a hilly neighborhood. Well, you gotta take the math into consideration. You went up X amount of feet for the hill. Then you went up your pylons. Now you're on the 3rd floor of your home. And during the summer, like we talked about the 2.5 billion, we're struggling to keep these water towers full. So as we dip closer to that halfway mark or a little bit below that halfway mark, a lot of people they'll complain, because we can't get with so much height. I mean, we just can't fill it and keep it full. So their 3rd stories, they'll see really low pressures. And it's just the nature of the basis, unfortunately. But that's kind of the start to finish of the water. I know I covered a lot really quickly. So do y'all have any questions on that?
Where does it come from?
It comes from, we've got 46 wells. And those wells are drilled down into the aquifers.
But where does it come from originally? You said you get it from,
The Castle Hayne and Yorktown aquifer.
Not the towns.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the deep,
that's what I was.
oh,
that's
I'm
what I
sorry.
thought.
Oh, I was thinking Castle Hayne
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, so your aquifers they run west to east. And the further you go down, and they all across the state. So as you're drilling, you actually hit these different aquifers depth-wise, not actually, we're not pulling from Castle Hayne. We're pulling from the Castle Hayne aquifer. So, and I do have a slideshow that I have from time to time, and it'll actually show a cutout of the earth and for the land and how it works.
The cleaner, the deeper you go generally.
Cleaner and saltier.
Okay.
So like, if you go down to Cape Hatteras, for example, most of our wells there are 425 feet because there's a layer of bedrock at Hatteras that we actually have to get through. Because if not, you get a lot of lime, you get a lot of silt, and it'll clog the screens of the well, so you have to go really deep. Well, with the depth we have, our salinities go way up, which creates higher pressures. So anyway, what that equates to for a lot of people is just noise. For us, it's pressures. If you were to go to the NRO facility in Kill Devil Hills and walk in there, you can walk in, you can talk at a normal volume. The pumps are just humming along nice. You go to Cape Hatteras, you walk in, you've got to have earplugs because the pumps are working that hard and the pressures are generating so much noise due to the salinity.
Yeah.
William, how often is the quality of water checked by Dare County?
The quality of the water.
Yeah, how often is it checked? Or is it
Oh, no, you're good. So our lab operators, we have 3 certified labs. And the lab techs go through, they actually do rounds 8 times a day within the facility itself. Beyond that, we actually follow the testing procedure set by the state. So we have monthly batteries, quarterly batteries, semi-annual batteries, and annual batteries that we do.
What are the issues in the future for Dare County Water? What do you guys worry about when you're out in projects?
Capacity. That is the biggest thing we're dealing with right now, especially down in Cape Hatteras. in 2024, we actually, or not 2024, 2025 budget, we are expanding Cape Hatteras by another 1.2 million to be able to keep up with the demand and the growth down there. They are running as hard as they can run. The Cape Hatteras cannot produce another drop of water, so if they were to lose a pump or a well, there's going to be a significant impact to them. So we have spares all over the place, but when something goes wrong, it's a big deal. Everybody's out there, everybody's turning wrenches, everybody's getting things switched out, electricians, mechanics. It's wide open until we can get it back up and running. Now, with that, we're also seeing capacity issues on the mainland. And by the mainland, we're talking about your North Beaches, Duck, Southern Shores, Kitty Hawk, all the way to Roanoke Island. We are getting ready to expand the Skyco facility. We're actually in the process of doing that now and hope to have it on by December of 2024. We hope to open that up, but we're expanding that by an additional 2.4 million to be able to keep up with demand and capacity that we're seeing on the mainland.
So we basically need more water going into the existing towers. That's your capacity is,
Yes, sir.
right, more pumping into the existing towers. We don't need more towers.
We don't need more towers. That's correct. So the north end is actually very limited. So Duck, Southern Shores, and Kitty Hawk, they kind of they're fighting each other for water. So the big thing for us right now is if we can do another pipeline and split our pipelines feeding our tower. Right now we have a 16-inch main that feeds Duck, Southern Shores, and Kitty Hawk. Well, there's no tower in Kitty Hawk, but there's ground storage. So we've got a 16-inch main feeding them. During the summer, if we're pumping as hard as we can to the Duck tower and Southern Shores gets low, we've got to cut Duck off, start filling Southern Shores. So it's a game. It's the dice game, the shell game. You're constantly just moving to keep those towers full in those areas with water.
Yeah, interesting. On the user side of the Dare County water, I've noticed that, like, I live in Kitty Hawk, of milepost 2. My water line is buried maybe 6 inches deep. Is that the norm?
With the service lines, that's pretty norm. Mains are typically 3 foot or lower. And then the service lines coming off the main, they slope up to the property.
Yeah, okay.
A lot of times with shifting sands and stuff like that,
It changes.
it changes. So, I mean, if you do ever see it exposed or have a concern, all you gotta do is give us a shout. We'll come out there, we'll reset everything, get it lower and come back.
Yeah.
So this is the question you probably don't ever want to hear.
Okay.
Why does the water sometimes taste terrible in Outer Banks? There's, like, I usually drink tap water at my house in Killable Hills,
Okay.
and usually I'm fine, but about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, for a period there, it was, I couldn't drink it. Why the difference there?
So I'm gonna throw Kill Devil Hills under the bus for a second.
Thanks.
We actually sell to the town, and the town has their own facilities and their own distribution system. We'll sell finished water to the town, the same as we sell to the unincorporated areas. Kill Devil Hills has their own pumping station where they may introduce more chlorine. They may introduce additional chemicals, not bad chemicals, nothing harmful. They're still meeting EPA regulations. But with their distribution systems, they also may not be flushing the systems as often. If you live near a dead end or down a road where a 6-inch may go to a 2-inch, the system may need to be flushed because as the water gets stale, it's going to develop a taste. And that happens a lot, especially during the off seasons where they're used to keeping the towers full and they're turning that water over 4 and 5 times a day. When your population drops, they're used to keeping it full and you're not getting the turnover. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll actually drop our towers during the winter time to closer to half capacity. So that way we're getting a larger turnover, a greater turnover to keep that water fresher.
Cool.
Well, what's the best system to recommend to alleviate that? Because I too live in KDH and I can't drink. I hate my water.
Unfortunately, people will try water softeners, they'll try charcoal filters. People try a whole lot of stuff, to be honest with you, and I truly do not have a recommendation other than just, if you're near a dead end street, just call the town and ask them to flush the line. Just open a blow off, flush the line, and it pulls a slug of fresh water through.
Well, William, thank you very much. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. Did a great job.
Just wondering the same thing. It's like,
Make
I have to filter it. Yeah.
Lauren,
I'm ready.
50-50 drawing,
All
not Stan.
What?
right. Tradition for us to have our spigots on the ticket, but you don't mind if you take a draw that ticket out for our 50-50?
All right.
Pick me, pick me.
Yellow ticket color.
Last three numbers or the whole ticket?
Just the last, in the blue, yeah, last 3 numbers.
Okay. Ticket number 876.
Oh, crap.
Is it you?
Thank you. You guys, and if you'll draw 2 more, I'll give out some gift certificates too. All right, that's Diane. Let's get you over here.
Never done this.
Really?
I don't think so.
Well, I sucked at it last week, so.
Good luck.
All righty then, and the more cards in the box, and if you want to cut that deck, go right ahead and cut it.
Shouldn't have done it.
Mm-mm. There you go. Oops.
I don't know. That one jumped out after.
I know it did.
Ooh. Close.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Close, but
The
no
king of
cigar.
Ooh, very close.
I just gotta see if this was the ace of spades. Yeah, yeah. I thought she was gonna do it.
Crap.
And you cut the cards. That's right.
Oh, crap.
Sorry, take your king of spades back, and that is just, I just can't believe that. That is,
I guess you can ruin her day, Lori.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. My curiosity was killing me. It just jumped out right there.
All right, you got another number to read to William?
It's a yellow ticket, 55045.
That'd be me, I think. Hang on. Oh, it's you?
All right.
Uh,
You guys want a boogie date night?
no,
No, okay.
we don't do date nights anymore.
Barbie might still be,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift might still be here.
Tell it, really.
Excellent. Yeah, right down the road is that movie theater past the movie theater. Thank you. Thanks, Lord.
Another yellow ticket, 55020.
Not me. Barbara?
Nobody claims it, then we can.
That's it.
I already threw up my
Save it
ticket.
for next week.
Yeah.
Next week's speaker is Jenna Weiner, who is with the Baum Senior Center. So she's going to come and fill us in. They've got a lot of things brand new that are going on at the Senior Center. So she's going to bring us up to date on what's going on with the Baum Center. So looking forward to having them in. Wynn, great to have you.
Yeah.
You're welcome anytime. Come back and see us. Hopefully we'll have a much bigger crowd. We usually do. It's been great the past couple of months. So hopefully you get to meet some more Rotarians next time you're in. David, good to see you. Get you squared away next week. William, thanks again. Appreciate it. Very informative meeting. Let's end today's meeting.
Come back anytime, man.
Yeah, you can come back and see us. Absolutely.
No, you can come back and join us.
Come on, sure.
We ain't gonna let him get off with his business.
We'll end today's meeting with our 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is
Is
it
it
true?
true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will be beneficial to all concerned? And will it be fun?
And Rotary's motto, please.
Service above self.
Great meeting, everybody. Thank you.
So I have
Thanks.
Will it be beneficial? So I need to
Thanks, John.
redo.
Poor Diane.
Have a good day.
Thank you, John. Good to see you.
But when I be, and it really was.
Diane?
What? I know.
Did Win take off? I don't know if he voted on it or not. I got his card, so I think I have it.
So I'm gonna let them talk about some stuff and see if it's something that